V-Rising was a game that I sunk many hours into back when it entered early access in May of 2022, but sadly haven't really touched the game much since then. That was until recently when I heard that the Invaders of Oakveil patch is arriving here shortly on April 28th. So I watched the cinematic trailer and read into the upcoming patch, and we will talk about that soon in this video, but it got me excited and inspired me to jump back into the game and experience not only the early access V-Rising, but the actual game that released almost a year ago. Assuming I'm not the only one who missed out on 1.0 when it initially released, I don't know what I was doing to where I would have missed this. Maybe No Lifing, No Rest for the Wicked, which also has a major patch coming at the end of April. I want to either do a video like this one talking about the upcoming updates, or maybe I will just wait until I play it and put out a video on my thoughts of the updates. I don't know. Anyways, let's discuss V-Rising and what the game is, and then we will dig into what's coming for the Invaders of Oakveil patch. If you already know everything about V-Rising, then feel free to jump ahead in the video where we talk about patch 1.1. If you're new to V-Rising or just want to recap, it's a badass open world survival game where you play as a vampire who just woke up after being knocked out for centuries. You're weak at first, so you gotta feed on blood to get stronger, avoid sunlight so you don't burn to a crisp, and slowly build up your own castle. You can turn humans into your servants, raid towns and camps, and fight all sorts of monsters to steal their powers. You can go solo or hop online to team up or fight other players in PvP. It's like survival-based building mixed with vampire power fantasy, and it's super addictive. You gather resources, refine materials, and work on building your fortress so you can access things to make you more powerful. The combat is a dynamic, skill-based system where weapon choice, dodging, and spell combos matter. It's a very MOBA-inspired combat system, and there's a lot of depth to it, which is pretty awesome. Stunlock Studios, the developers behind this game, have a good track record when it comes to combat in their games, and that definitely carries over into V-Rising. One of the pillars of this game, and probably my favorite thing to do, is the boss hunts, where you track and defeat over 50 bosses, each granting unique powers and progression unlocks. So far, each boss has been unique and rewarding to fight with very interesting mechanics. Currently running the boss gauntlet at the moment because I wanted to check out 1.0 before the new patch. Not that you need to start playing the game now, you can certainly hold off until the 28th for the update, and probably should, as you will need to start a fresh world to experience Invaders of Oakveil anyways. But also, that's when the new mechanics will be introduced, and going through the game with the new stuff will be nice, especially for those of you who have already played a lot of V-Rising, but more details on that in a little bit. The heart of V-Rising is its satisfying progression cycle. You start weak and grow strong. You again awaken with nothing but basic powers. Early game is about scavenging for blood, wood, and stone to craft your first weapons and gear. Then you build your castle, which begins as a shelter and then develops into your stronghold. Place walls, crafting stations, storage chests, and even coffins. You hunt bosses for power. Each V-Blood boss you defeat grants new abilities, each ability coming from one of the 6 spell schools. And again, the combat is fast, fluid, and rewards skill. You can swap between weapons, swords, axes, maces, and ranged spells mid-fight, chaining abilities for awesome combos. So already you have a very nice core gameplay loop, and with it comes a very unique blood system that adds a lot of depth to the game. Basically, you fight different enemies throughout the world, each with a blood type. Get their health low enough in combat and you can suck their blood, assigning their blood type to your character. Different enemy blood types grant unique buffs. For example, one of my favorite is the rogue blood type, which boosts chance to critical strike and movement speed. Blood quality also makes these buffs better. This is the percentage you see next to their blood type, so hunting stronger foes is always worth it. And real quick on PvP and multiplayer, there are PvP and PvE servers, so if you prefer playing solo or helping others or competing with other players, V-Rising has you covered. I typically enjoy PvP, but there are just a ton of games I want to play right now, so I'm just enjoying a very nice, relaxed solo journey. But with the new patch, I will probably be joining a multiplayer server, and I'll explain why in a bit. With that recap of V-Rising out of the way, let's talk about the full launch that arrived last year. It brought not only major improvements, but new endgame zones. The Ruins of Mortium and Gloomrot offer challenging enemies and high-tier loot. It also brought a new gameplay mechanic known as conflict zones. These are dynamic events that pop up in the Ruins of Mortium endgame zone, where you skirmish against Dracula's Legion, and conquering these will earn you rewards such as exclusive resources, weapons, and the ability to use the Vampire Merchant Vendor. There are also cargo travelers now. You will see these caravans throughout the world, and intercepting them will earn you good loot and rewards. There's been several quality of life upgrades, one of the best I've ever seen from an early access title. Better inventory management, castle relocation, and controller support. Your castle in the past would just stay wherever you initially put it, and you would have to break it down if you wanted to move somewhere else. Now you can just relocate your castle by putting down a castle relocation heart, and the game knows what's in your current castle so you can rebuild from there. They added tons of UI UX updates, especially with inventory and storage management. Everything is just much cleaner and more seamless now. On top of that, they've improved the visuals and lighting in many areas throughout the world. More bosses and gear have been added to the game, new legendary weapons, spells, and V-Blood carriers to hunt, with the big bad obviously being Dracula. And I found this quite awesome. Simon Belmont is also in the game. You can fight him now, so any Castlevania fans should be stoked about that. And lastly, as far as the combat is concerned, 1.0 revamped the whole skill point system, allowing you to unlock spells in the order you want, where it used to be a fixed order. So you can build your character to your playstyle right off the bat. And since last I played, more weapons were added, the whip and longbow. And a new shapeshift was added, spider form, where you can burrow yourself underground to hide from enemies. That's all the major updates from 1.0 that released almost a year ago. There's a lot more smaller things that I didn't go into detail on, but V-Rising 1.0 definitely delivered on its early access promise. A polished, deep, and highly replayable vampire survival RPG. Whether you're in it for the castle building, the boss fights, or the PvP chaos, there's something here for every kind of player. Now with the Invaders of Oakveil patch on the horizon, bringing a new biome, weapons, and combat overhaul, there's never been a better time to jump in. This update will arrive on April 28th for Steam and PS5, and again, you'll need to start on a fresh server. You can't use an existing 1.0 game save for the new content. Your saves won't be removed, so you won't lose anything from your 1.0 worlds if you ever want to go and revisit them. But with it comes a new biome, the Oakveil Woodlands, a new forest biome filled with deadly enemies, new bosses, and dark magic techniques waiting to be seized. As for the bosses, there will be 5 new ones coming to the Oakveil region, with the Serpent Queen being the major boss and 4 of her loyal servants known as the Venom Blades. Additionally, 2 more V-Blood bosses will pop up in Dunley Farmlands, Sir Erwin the Gallant Cavalier and Gaius the Cursed Champion. You get to Dunley Farmlands pretty early, so that'll be nice to fight some new bosses before arriving to Oakveil. There will be 3 new weapons added to the mix, the claws, which have been a highly requested weapon, especially from those of you that want to rip and tear into your enemies. Obviously, it's a melee weapon where your primary attack is to perform a rapid melee combo that hits 3 times, with the 3rd attack hitting the hardest and applying the puncture effect. This effect can then trigger a rupture that hits your target for a whole lot of damage and also splashes a decent amount of damage to enemies nearby. So if you're sticking close and landing your combos, you're not just chunking the main target, you're also blasting the crowd around them. Real solid for both single target and AoE if you're aggressive. This weapon will also have an ability called Skewering Leap that will allow you to, well, leap onto your target, dealing massive damage while also applying puncture and stunning them for a short time. The claws will come with their own artifact weapon, the Talons of the Lich Beast, that include additional effects like skeleton summoning and powerful self-healing. The Twin Blade will also be coming. This dual-bladed staff is designed for relentless, rhythmic combat, made for you to throw your Twin Blade from range and then quickly close the gap. You'll also have the Javelin ability where you can toss your weapon towards a target location, dealing massive damage, and then either recall that weapon, dealing damage to enemies in its path, or dash towards your weapon to retrieve it. Which the dash will probably be a good get-out-of-jail-free card. Let's say you're in combat and you're losing the fight, you could just throw it away from your enemy and then dash towards it to quickly get away from them. You can also lunge at your enemies and knock them in the air, dealing damage with the Sweeping Strike ability. The artifact for this weapon, the Fate Dancers, will be frost-themed and not only guarantee chill effects, but also deal additional damage against chilled enemies when landing a Sweeping Strike. The final weapon joining the mix is the Throwing Daggers. The idea behind this weapon is to use your skill shots to throw a bunch of daggers to gain dagger stacks, in which you can then use these stacks to rapidly throw a bunch of daggers into your target. You will also have an AoE ability, the Rain of Daggers, in which you jump into the air and throw a bunch of daggers in front of you, dealing damage to anyone hit. All these daggers you unleash will stick to the ground after hitting your target, where you can then use the Release Daggers ability, where all nearby daggers that are stuck in the ground will return to you, doing damage to any enemies in their path. The daggers will also have a unique artifact called the Wraith Blades, and will be a part of the Illusion School. This artifact will allow you to gain Phantasm stacks that will cause additional damage to enemies hit by Rain of Daggers. Personally, I'm looking forward to the claws. Leaping into combat, building stacks of puncture, and then popping them is right up my alley and sounds like a satisfying combat rotation. Although, I do really love daggers, so I guess I'll just have to wait until I get my hands on them. Anyways, what weapon are you looking forward to using, or are there any weapons that you wish the game had? Let me know. One completely new system being added, and probably the one I'm most excited for, is the weapon coatings, where you can essentially imbue your weapon with elemental coatings that will cause additional effects. There will be 1 coating for each magic type, so that means 6 different coatings: Blood, Chaos, Unholy, Illusion, Frost, and Storm. A couple examples that we already know are the Storm and Blood coating, where the Storm coating will deal bonus magic damage and trigger Chain Lightning, and the Blood coating will inflict Leech and Vampiric Curse, dealing magic damage every couple seconds. You'll be able to access this new coating system by drinking the blood of one of the new bosses being added. One cool thing about these weapon coatings too is you can apply them to more than one weapon. So where they can only be activated every 15 seconds on a single weapon, if you're alternating between a bunch of different weapons, you can get these on-hit effects to proc as often as every 5 seconds. With this update comes many more skins for the artifact weapons. Artifact weapons are the uniquely named weapons in the game, basically the endgame gear that substantially boosts your character's power. I will show what they've shared so far in terms of the new skins, but there will be more than these ones on screen. There will also be 6 more spells joining the mix. one for each magic type, and there will be one new ultimate ability tied to the newest legendary shard. So altogether, 7 new bosses, 3 new weapons, 7 spells, and weapon coatings. And well, if that wasn't enough, a highly requested feature is being added: castle, arena, and duels. You can build a custom battle arena in your castle, set the rules, and engage in PvP with friends, or challenge others almost anywhere in the world with risk-free one-on-one duels. Now this is sick. I love PvP, especially 1v1s, but I usually avoid it if there's a chance it might waste my time. So the fact that I can jump into this without risking anything or losing any progress, that's huge. I'm definitely looking forward to diving in, and this is why I said earlier that I'll be joining a multiplayer server this time around. A new fuse and reforge system is being added. You don't have to cross your fingers for the perfect drop anymore. You can fuse your gear and jewels to craft the setup you want. On top of that, we're getting the biggest combat overhaul V-Rising has seen yet. Gear stats have been rebalanced, blood types have been completely reworked, with a new corrupted blood type entering the mix, and there's way more room for customization. Your vampire build is really in your hands now, more than it already was, and of course, there's more to love back at your castle too. New cosmetics and building features will be arriving with this patch. To wrap things up, V-Rising 1.1 isn't just another content drop. They're making massive changes to combat, crafting, PvP, core mechanics that affect every second you spend in this world. Whether you're building your castle, dueling in the shadows, or theory crafting your perfect gear setup, everything appears to be sharper, cleaner, and more in your control. They definitely put tons of work into this and are very passionate about their game, and it will be better because of this. Not that it was ever bad, I loved this game well before the release when I played it back in its early access days. If you're new to V-Rising, patch 1.1 looks to be a great time to jump in. The quality of life improvements from 1.0 and beyond make it way more approachable than it used to be, and for the veterans, the combat changes alone, spell points, gear fusing, blood reworks, it all opens up the meta in ways that will make every fight feel fresh again. Drop a comment with your planned build or your favorite magic type. I enjoy reading through them, and I'm curious on what you all think about this upcoming patch. Like the video if you enjoyed it or if you found it helpful, and hey, consider subscribing. We're almost at 1,000 subs, which is awesome, and to everyone subscribed or who made it this far into the video, it means a lot, and I appreciate it very, very much. Anyways, take excellent care of yourselves, call someone you love, and goodbye!